Okay, I think we're up and going here. Hopefully, we've got some production hiccups here this morning, but we are in a war. That's the subject of the this particular series of lessons, the spiritual warfare that we have to fight, and this is one of the elements of that spiritual warfare. My wife is in the hospital right now, and she's not working the thing. So we've got our backup production crew, and we run into snags sometimes, and that's just the way it goes. So we're a little bit late. If you've already been here and gone, oh well. If not, here we go. I want to direct your attention this morning to the third installment of the lessons that we're going on about, and that is the spiritual warfare that is conducted by Satan against us. And when I say us, I mean born again Christians, the church. Everybody's got a job to do. God has his job, Satan has his job, and we've got our job. Satan's job is to screw around with us, basically, to try to thwart the plan of God. He can't take God down. He can't hurt God. He can't slow God down in any appreciable sense. He's just a nuisance, a little pest. God allows it. God is aware of what's going on, whether it be in Satan's life or your life, the problems that you're going through. God's aware of that. God knows that. God knows that we are getting hammered by our own sin. He knows we're getting hammered by Satan. He's not unaware of the bad things that happen to us. The fact that he doesn't always jump in and save us from ourselves or save us from the consequences of our actions or our inactions does not mean that he's not aware. It doesn't mean that he doesn't care. Certain things just have to play out. There's a particular verse that I want to start off with today that is one of the scariest verses in the Bible. You say, well, I thought, all verses in the Bible were really nice. They are nice. They are good. They are true. But some are just downright scary. This is one of them. The book of Job, chapter 2, verse 3. Here's a scenario that played out in history in times past. It is probably being played out in current time as we sit here and speak now. And I'm sure it'll be played out in the future. Job chapter 2, verse 3. And the Lord said unto Satan. Now, try to imagine the scenario here. God and Satan are speaking with each other. Obviously, it's in a civil type way. They're not spewing thunderbolts and lightning at each other. They are sitting down and they are having a conversation as civilized human beings might have. The Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job. So they're talking about an individual living on the earth. God is God, of course. Satan is a created being of God. He is a spiritual being. But the two of them are discussing and talking about a human being who is currently, at that time, living on the earth. God initiates the conversation. God initiates the topic of the conversation. He singles this guy out, Job, and he asks Satan, have you considered my servant Job? So God puts the spotlight on Job. He singles him out. As I considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, and a man that feareth God and escheweth evil. He's bragging him up. He's singling him out. Have you considered this guy? And still he holdeth fast his integrity. Though thou movest me, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. That's the scary part. In this conversation, in this dialogue between Satan and God, Satan has asked God a favor. The favor being that Satan be allowed to do what he wants with Job. Consider that for a second. Just change the scenario a little bit. Insert yourself in the place of Job. We're not talking about Job now. We're talking about you. Have you considered my servant Betty, or Joe, or Dave, or Sam, or Rebecca, or whatever it happens to be, whoever you are? Imagine yourself, you're minding your own business, and unbeknownst to you, there are two entities in this universe that are talking about you behind your back without your knowledge, and they are discussing you particularly, individually, and you have no clue. You're sitting there minding your own business. But your name is brought up between these two individuals. One of them asks the other, let me have him. And the scary part is, God says, okay, you can have him. Just don't kill him. Why is that scary? Because by the time it was done, Satan took away his wealth. Satan took away his security. Satan took away his health. Satan took away his relationships. Satan took away his wife, his kids, and as I said, his security, his 401k. Satan took everything from this guy. Why? Because he asked God for permission. Can I have him? Can I take away all that he has? And God says, yeah, you can take everything. You can have everything he's got. Just don't kill him. Do you begin to get a little inkling? A little teeny weeny glimpse as to why and how bad things come into your life? How disappointment rears its ugly head? How setbacks seem to occur over and over and over and over again in your life? Unfulfilled dreams, hopes that get demolished and dashed. Does it begin to sink in as to why things get hard sometimes for you? Why you suffer disappointment? You suffer loss? You have setbacks? You have discouragement? There's an entire world swirling around you that you are in the midst of, that for the most part you have no conception about. It is that spiritual warfare. And you are the nexus. You are the center. You are the object of somebody's wrath. And somebody has gotten permission from the creator of the universe to take and sift you as wheat. They've gotten permission, and God, they came with the proposal. Can I have them? Can I take their health? Can I take their hopes, their dreams? Can I take their kids? Can I take their wife? Can I take their career? Can I take their peace of mind? Can I take their dreams and their hopes and their aspirations? And the one that has the power to say yes or no says, yeah, go ahead, take it. Just don't kill them. Does that scare you at all? Does that make any sense to you at all? Do you begin to get an inkling as to the dire importance of getting your act together and figuring some things out? Because there is a remedy at the end of this thing. There is a way out. It doesn't, when I say a way out, that doesn't mean that you're going to avoid all the problems that are going to come your way. When I say the way out, it just simply means, how do you cope with it? How do you embrace it? How do you get over it? How do you get through it? And there is a way. The progression of Job is an incredibly interesting thing. It starts out with this one right here. God bragging on this guy. Great guy, loves God, fears God, good husband, good dad, good guy. So he says, yeah, well, he's only good because he fears you. He's only good because you've got a hedge around him. He's only good because you keep giving him things. You take away those things, you take away his security blanket, you take away his protective element that is around him, he'll curse you to your face. I said, really? Yeah. God said, well, you're on. Go for it. So the progression of Job is very, very evident in the first half of this book. Starts out with this one here, when God says to Satan, he's still a good guy. He'll remain a good guy, even though thou, Satan, movest me, God, against him without cause. Oh, that's the key right there. A lot of times we bring on our own demise. We bring on our own destruction through sin, through attitude, through just being generally stupid, lousy guys. We bring it on ourselves. But in this instance, with this guy, at this period of his life, he wasn't really doing anything exceptionally bad, especially not to deserve what was going to come his way. There are certain things in life that are supposed to be proportional. You know, if you fall 6 inches, well, you're going to hurt yourself a little bit. If you fall 60 feet, you're going to hurt yourself a lot worse than you do if you just fall 6 inches generally. There's just certain laws of gravity, there's certain laws of physics. So Satan gets permission from God to hammer this guy. God gives Satan permission to hammer him. Now the race is on. How does Job handle it? Well, after God moving against Job without cause, we move up a few verses and see how Job handles this thing. Look at verse 10, same chapter, chapter 2, verse 10. Job is now speaking with his wife. They're having an argument. She's fed up with watching him get hammered. She's fed up with God. She's fed up with Job. She's fed up with the whole thing. So she comes to her husband, who's in the midst of this unbelievable, catastrophic type period of his life. And she just cuts to the chase. Curse God and die. Get it over with. Verse 10, but he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God? And shall we not receive evil? And in all this, did not Job sin with his lips? We receive good from the hand of God, he says. Don't we deserve to get evil too? There's a balance in life. There's always a balance in life. The Bible is very, very clear in this. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. That's the balance. You sow good things, you'll get good things. That's where the concept of karma came from. It's a derivation of just biblical truth. You sow good things, you'll reap good things. You sow bad things, you'll reap bad things. That's just the law of life. So you see the transition starting in his life. Sitting there minding his own business, good guy. Satan comes to God, gets permission to hammer him. He gets hammered. How does he react? Well, we know how his wife reacted. She reacted the way that I probably 99% of the time react. Curse God and die. Get it over with. You don't have to put up with this. You don't deserve it. You didn't earn it. Just get it over with. Curse God and die. Hey, you speak as one of the foolish women speak. We've received good at the hand of God. Don't we deserve a little bit of evil too? Balance. And by the time Satan gets done with him, By the time his kids are taken away, killed. By the time his security is gone, all of his money, all of his wealth, all of his everything that he's, his 401k type thing, when it's all gone, when his health is gone. And I'll tell you, up until just a few years ago, that wasn't really that of a big of a deal to me when you talk about health. It is now. As I said a few minutes ago, my wife's in the hospital right now. I'm sitting here. I found out yesterday I've got 2 broken vertebrae. I fell a few weeks ago. I didn't know that. I knew I heard it. I didn't know I had broken them. Health is a big thing when you get to a certain age or, a certain condition. This guy had lost it all. Through no fault of his own. We've received good at the hand of God. Don't we deserve a little bit of evil sometime? Yeah. And he goes on. After having lost everything. Well, how do we find him at the end of that road? Once he's lost his health, once he's lost his wife, once he's lost his kids, once he's lost his security, once he's lost his money, once he's lost his reputation, once he's lost his friends, once he's lost everything. What does he say then at that point? Let's see. Job chapter 13. By this time, he's in the dumpster. Big time. Chapter 13, verse 15. You've heard this one before. Though he slay me. That means though he kill me. He's talking about God. The he in this verse is referring to God. Though he, God, kills me. It wasn't God that was hammering him here. It was Satan. I'm not sure he really understood the difference of the two here, but it was Satan who was hammering him. But it wasn't really God. God gave him permission to hammer him, but it was Satan who was hammering him. But still his focus is on God. Though he, God, slay me, though he kill me, yet, still, in spite of that, yet will I trust him. Have you got to that point yet in your life? Do you have any concept of what Job was going through? Are you in the midst of something that you don't understand and that you don't get, that confuses you? Are you still buying the line that, once you give your heart to Jesus, everything is going to be made perfect. Everything was going to be made whole. Nothing but sweetness and light and rainbows and puppy dogs for the rest of your life once you accepted Jesus? Are you still in that frame of mind? If you figured out yet that once you did accept Jesus, you entered into a war, you signed up, you enlisted, you put on a uniform, they handed you a weapon, they said the enemy is right there. Face him. Stand. Don't turn. Don't run. Stand there. Resist. Have you figured it out yet? A lot of Christians don't. I'm just now getting to the point that it's starting to make sense to me. And I've been a Christian a long time. Now, I'm probably a lot stupider than the average Christian, but I'm starting to get there. Last week, we mentioned a couple of things that there are certain patterns that are found in the Bible. There are certain patterns that God keeps showing us over and over and over again that don't make sense to us initially. Sometimes you have to experience certain things, you have to go through certain things, you have to just live certain things before any of it begins to make sense. And even then, we usually confuse it, we get it mixed up, we don't understand it, we resist it, we don't like it, we reject it, and then we got to start over again, and God just has to keep hammering and hammering and hammering at us until we finally get the message. But like in the case of Abraham, sitting there minding his own business, doesn't really know about God, never been introduced to God, doesn't know God, but God calls him, God selects him. And God makes him a proposition. He says, come follow me. Get out of this town that you're in, get out of this country that you're in. You come, you follow me, and I'll lead you to a land of milk and honey. A land of ease, a land of prosperity, a land of plenty, a land of niceness and goodness and completion and happiness. There's your rainbow. There's your puppy dogs. There's all this stuff that I promised you. Come follow me and I'll give it to you. Abraham said, it sounds like a good deal to me. Okay, where do I sign up? And he gets up and he follows God to this land of milk and honey. This land of prosperity, of ease, of contentment, of fulfillment, and so forth. That was the promise. And he gets there. He has followed God. He has given up everything. He left everything. And he followed God into the unknown. And what's the first thing he found? There was a famine in the land. Excuse me? I mean, you can't make this stuff up. God makes him a proposition. Leave your family, leave your country, leave your homeland here. Come follow me, and I'll lead you to the land of milk and honey. Abraham says, okay, sounds good to me. Gets up, follows God. They get into the land of milk and honey. And what's the first thing he experiences? A famine in the land. So he splits and he runs down to Egypt because there's food down there in Egypt. And he stays there for a while and then he comes back. But you can't make this stuff up. There are certain patterns in this book that occur over and over and over again. And God orchestrates this stuff. He will make a proposition to you. He will call you. He will select you. He will choose you. He will give you certain promises. And then as soon as you acquiesce and you give in and you say, okay, it seems like kaboom, the hammer falls and everything goes to pieces. And we stand there with our mouths open. And we say, duh, what happened here? And God sits back and he watches the reaction. Some react badly. Some of us. Some of us, like Job, react very, very good. Land of milk and honey. First thing out the gate, a famine in the land. King David, sitting there minding his own business, watching his dad's sheep. Not causing any trouble. Not making a nuisance of himself. God needs a new king for Israel. Okay. The first king screwed up. Saul didn't cut it. God's going to fire him. God's going to get rid of him. So he needs a new king to replace him. He sends the prophet Samuel out. He says, go find me a king. Samuel says, okay, where do I go? What do I do? He says, well, there's a guy over there. He's got 7 boys. One of them is going to be king. Samuel goes, okay, he starts with the oldest guy. Natural conclusion. Oldest guy doesn't pan out. Next oldest guy, he doesn't make it. Get down to the sixth guy who happened to be there. He didn't pan out. And Samuel said, what's going on here? And he asked the dad, he said, you got any more kids? He said, yeah, I got one more boy. He said, where is he? Well, he's out watching the sheep. He's just a young guy, 14, 15, 16 years old or so. He's out there minding his own business, watching the sheep. Samuel says, get him in here. So they call for David. He comes in. Samuel takes one look at him and he says, yep, this is the guy. Takes his cruse of oil, pours it over David's head. David's now king of Israel. But he doesn't have a throne. He doesn't have a scepter. He doesn't have a crown. He doesn't have any of the trappings. He's not officially the king quite yet. For the next 15 years of his life, he's running and hiding to keep from getting killed by the original king, Saul, who gets jealous when he finds out that he's been fired by God, he's been deposed as king, and God has instituted this young whippersnapper in his place. So he tries to kill him, to get him out of the way. Once again, the same type of pattern that Abraham went through. Follow me to the land of milk and honey. Boom, famine. Hey, I'm going to make you king. Next 15 years, he's running and hiding in caves to keep his head intact with the rest of his body. And you know my favorite one, Saul. Again, minding his own business, which was a bad business at the time. He's out trying to kill and imprison Christians because he hates the church, he hates God, he hates Jesus, he hates the Bible, he hates everything. But for some reason, God saw something in him, and God saves him. God converts him. God looks down at him and he said, boy, he is a chosen vessel unto me. Go figure that one out. And in the midst of that sentence, he is a chosen vessel unto me. Balloons go off, fireworks go off. Paul had won the lottery. I will show him what great things he must suffer. You see the pattern? God does it over and over and over again. First chapter of the Bible ends with a verse, and God beheld everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. 2 chapters later, and the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, hath God said, and sin enters into the world. You see the pattern? Over and over and over and over and over again, it's the same thing. What about your life? When you came to Jesus, when you accepted him as your personal savior, did life get better? Or did circumstances and things get worse? You can fill in that blank. Some of us get it, some of us don't. Eventually, we're all going to get it. It's just a matter of timing. Some people get it easy. Some people get it quick. Some people, it's a slog. It's a lifelong quest. It's a learning experience that we have to go through over and over and over and over again before we get it. Some of us are just dumber than others. It's taken me a long time for some things, and I'm just now getting to the point that it's starting to make sense to me. Other guys, they've been Christians for 2-3 years. and they're getting it. Everybody's different. Paul got it. He says in Philippians chapter 4, at some point he says, if I've learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. Now just listen to that for a second. I have learned, this is Paul speaking, I have learned that in whatsoever state I am in. And then he goes on later on the verse to kind of explain what he means by that. And that is, I've learned how to abound. I've learned how to suffer loss. I've learned how to, get things. I've learned how to lose things. I've learned how to be full. I've learned how to be empty. So it didn't make any difference from a financial standpoint where he was, from a health standpoint where he was, if he was free and walking around, or if he was in jail or prison. If he felt great, or if he just got the snot knocked out of him, an orbital bone cracked, a kneecap cracked, whips and lashes and scars and bleeding and so forth. His condition in life didn't seem to make any difference to him, because at the end of the day, he said, it's all good. The good things that happen to me are good, obviously. The bad things that happen to me are good. It doesn't make any difference. Why? Because he knew the secret, and the secret was found in Romans chapter 8, when he says that all things work together for good. The good things, the bad things, the neutral things. It didn't make any difference to Paul. Whether he was in prison, whether he was preaching on Mars Hill, whether he was converting somebody, whether he was, being beaten down with rods and sticks and staves and fists and so forth, it didn't make any difference at the end of the day. It's all good. All things work together. It didn't say all things are good, but all things work together for good to them that love God. So Paul got it. And I don't know, I think he got it really quick. It didn't take him any 60-some years as a Christian to start to, the light to start shining. He got it pretty quick. And I guess when you're getting beat up, when you're getting thrown in jail, when you're getting bones broke, when you're getting your skin lacerated with whips and so forth, the learning curve jumps really, really high, really, really fast. And so Paul got it really quick. You realize that Jesus himself had to learn some things? Hebrews tells us that Jesus himself, he learned obedience. Let that sink in for a second. I mean, we have a verse that says that Jesus learned obedience. You think going out the gate he'd have that one wired. But no, it says he learned obedience by the things that he suffered. Going back to Paul for a second, when he says, I have learned in whatsoever state I am in, therewith to be content. How did he learn that? Do you think he learned that from a self-help book? Do you think he went to a conference? How to live your best life now? Do you think he had a guru someplace that for, $400 an hour taught him certain things? I have learned in whatsoever state I am in. No, he learned with the whip, with the lash, with the rocks, the stones, the fists, the beatings, the going without, the suffering. That's how he learned. So when God allows certain things to happen to you that you deem as unnecessary or bad or not wholesome, how do you react? Do you say, oh, poor me? Oh, why did I deserve this? Oh, I didn't sign up for this. How do you react? Or do you say, hey, this is a learning curve? This is a growth experiment. All things work together for good. Ooh, whip, boom. Another hit in the face. All things work together for good. Whoa, a rock upside the head. Wow. A swift kick in the butt. Makes no difference. All things work together for good to them that love God. Some Christians get it. Some Christians don't. Some Christians get it fairly easy and quick. Others just don't. As they live their lives as a Christian, bitching and moaning and groaning, and gee whiz, they're standing with Lot's wife. And what did she say again? Oh, yeah. Curse God and die. That's how some Christians react. Other Christians react with the phrase, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Which side do you fall on? When bad things happen to you and you don't understand them and you don't like them and you don't get them, do you stand with Lot's wife and say, just curse God and die? Or after experiencing every bad thing that can possibly happen to you in life, do you say with Job, I don't care if he kills me, though he slay me, yet will I trust him? How are you doing as a Christian? Heavenly Father, I thank you, Lord, that you love us. Our problem is that sometimes we don't understand the concept of that love. We cannot get our heads around the fact that a parent sometimes has to spank a kid because he loves them. They've done something naughty. They've done something they're not supposed to do. And the parent, in being a parent, has to correct them, has to teach them, has to show them. And sometimes that is expressed through a spanking. And yet we rebel, we bitch, we gripe, we kick, we scream. We don't like spankings. We don't like being grounded. We don't like being reprimanded. We don't like having to suffer loss. We don't like having to be stuck in the room or in a corner. We don't like to be grounded. And yet we never seem to change our attitude. We never seem to change our way of life. And so God just has to continually reprimand, scold, spank, chastise, whatever the term happens to be, because sometimes we just don't get it. We never learn. We never learn. So, Father, give us wisdom, give us understanding, open our eyes, help us to see with some of these men of God that the bad things that happen to our life are not in and of themselves necessarily bad things. They work together for our good. Sometimes the plan of God, the will of God, just has to be expressed. God has to be God. And for him to be God, sometimes we have to suffer loss so that he can get glory, that he can get honor. It's not about us, Lord. At the end of the day, it's about you. Father, help us to understand these deep spiritual concepts. Job's wife never got it. She couldn't get her head wrapped around the fact of watching her husband suffer like that at the end of the day was a good thing. It didn't make any sense to her. She couldn't rationalize it. She couldn't get her head around it. So she ends up disheartened, disappointed, ineffective. A cautionary tale as to how not to react to certain things. On the other hand, Job, at the end of the day, he gave him twice as much as he had before. Twice as much. And he was already the richest guy in the East. But you end up giving him twice as much. God help us to get these spiritual things. Well, what a shame to have lived our lives as a Christian, whether it be 5 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, and not get certain elemental, basic Christianity 101 truths. God help us, please. God help us and forgive us. In Jesus' name.